So first off, we'll have the roll call. Dwight, would you like to start since you're online?
Sure. Dwight Reinowitz.
Oh, Doug, are you online too? Doug Porter, can you hear us?
You're still muted, Doug. Yeah, okay. That was the thumbs up. He's there.
Okay. You want to do your roll call, Doug, please? I guess no, he's not hearing us, so I don't know.
Must not be able to.
Yeah, no, he can hear us. He's just muted.
I can't see him on our screen. Okay.
Okay, there we go. I got it unmuted.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so you're here for the roll call?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Aaron,
Aaron Palmer, Mark Blackmore,
Dave Morse.
Amy Monahan.
Joe Palula, Sid Blanchett, Joseph Adaletta, John Day.
Okay, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I guess we can seat all alternatives. Yeah, alternate seats today. So Amy and John will be seated. Oh, and Dwight, right? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, how about we seat John and Amy? That will give us 9, right? And Dwight, you won't be seated for this meeting.
All right.
I mean, you can still, sure, you could. Yeah, you have to stand through it. Okay, so that's done. Let's do our pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here and all the work you do. We do have to add a vote on our budget to the agenda. So if we could, under new business, if we could have a motion to add a vote on the budget in, please.
So,
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's number 6. Any citizens' comments related to not stuff that's coming up before us today? Yes.
Just, Jean, hello, for the Conservation Commission. Just want to update you on the ordinance amendment that I've been working on, and I did submit something to John and Chandler, and I would have sent it to you because I didn't have your email address.
Okay. Thank you.
And also I would like to mention that it's Commissioner Monahan's birthday today.
No. Actually, it's not. It's the Grange's birthday today, and I've been getting happy birthdays all day because the Grange is on my page. Thank you.
Well, I don't should we sing happy birthday to
No.
Okay, so we have meeting minutes in front of you.
Move to accept the minutes for November 20th as presented.
Yes, John.
So I have one little minor thing,
You would second it first, I'll second it.
Yeah, that,
so under the chair's report, it said Mark Blackmer made a motion, seconded by Amy Monahan. And then down for David Morse, and then Tim Young, seconded by Amy Monahan. Amy was not in on that meeting. She was here, but she was
You were
not.
seated.
I wasn't seated. I already reached out to John Guskowski about this because I realized it afterwards, and he said that we do not have to make the changes because it only matters if the vote was close or not.
Okay.
And I recognized that afterwards, and I apologized, and I already reached out, so we're good. We don't have to do
Okay.
anything about it, and I won't do it again.
That would be the answer.
Okay, yes, and I should have been paying more attention to.
I should have not done it. I'm sorry.
We vote.
Okay, so any other discussion on the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain, Doug Porter.
Okay. Now I guess we'll open the public hearing activity on a Scenic Road, application number 699-10-25. That's application of this activity at Scenic Road, MBL number 6389-70-23, Kings Highway Farm, Brian Sheldon continued. So, Mr. Sheldon, do you bring the, all the information that we requested?
Everything except I couldn't get the wetland delineation, but you guys gonna do it next week, so I'm gonna have to ask for attention on that.
Okay, so we should just extend this public hearing. Can we extend it now?
The applicant can extend it.
You're requesting an extension of the public
The
hearing?
whole thing?
Yeah, let's do it all at
Through
once.
the other stuff and then, or do you wanna just wait for the?
So- Yeah. Mr.
John,
Mr.
yeah.
Sheldon he had prepared a number of, you know, photos and a narrative that he was going to provide it. But yeah, I mean, the wetlands mapping was a missing element. It's really up to you of whether you'd like to consider it all together or get some information today. See if there's any members of the public that have additional comments, because people did show up both in person and online. But it's really up to you how you'd like to proceed.
Well, I would like to hear everything at once. But we'll certainly, accept comments from the public. I know it's an inconvenience, but, does anybody else have any input on this?
Yeah, I was wondering, if, John, if you have the list of items that we had requested from the last meeting, just as a refresher, and then maybe, Mr. Sheldon can go through what he has, for us to discuss or hear about.
Sure. Let me pull that. I don't think I'd scanned it. I think I probably have it in my email. If you give me a moment.
Okay. Oh, good, have something else.
All right, bringing it up on the screen. This is the list of, this is a correspondence that I sent to Mr. Sheldon November 10th after our last public hearing. I indicated 9 items
Okay,
that
good.
the commission were looking for. And hopefully that can be relatively read on the screen.
Yes, that's fairly considered reading.
And John, have you gone over this list, with the applicant before the meeting to see how far along on these 9 items we are?
Yeah, most of so Mr. Sheldon spent some time in my office this afternoon. And you know, submitted a number of photos that we scanned and put up on the website that I can bring up. But yeah, so property boundaries and location of right of way, he basically provided a GIS level map, so nothing more detailed than that. Location and description of trees, he submitted a number of pictures and had some narrative about that. He did have the location of the proposed driveway. Again, more photographic than survey grade. As well as same with the stone walls. Most of these things are photos, not detailed maps. Wetland areas were not delineated. He provided, again, a GIS level wetlands map. There was no, I believe, site restoration activities that he's proposing. I believe he says that there's a little bit of drainage that the town needs to fix. Stabilization measure, again, I don't think, I think the position of Mr. Sheldon, when he can say this himself, is that, the disturbance was relatively minimal and no stabilization would need to be done, but I'll let him speak to that. We don't have a written timeline, and we do have a letter from the Wyndham Land Trust. So.
But will the commission be getting copies of all of this that you were just describing?
It's on the website.
It is on the website?
It went up today?
It did this afternoon after Mr. Sheldon stopped in. He was there around 2 o'clock. I scanned stuff in around 3:30 because that's when we got it.
Okay,
So if you let me reshare my screen. And I recognize obviously you guys aren't sitting on the website hitting refresh furiously waiting for something to show up, but that's the easiest way to put it up there. So on the website with the agenda, under public hearing, we have additional documentation. We have a 16-page scanned series of photos, maps, and some notes. So what Mr. Sheldon delivered today is up on the website.
well. I have those pictures in front of me. I really think there's no delineation of where the driveway is.
There is, Dave,
There's no measurements.
there is. I got it right here. I got the copies of the map and the measurements from the Range Road to the west. I got
So,
the
yeah.
measurements.
Right.
Right.
That was he added the measurements on there. That was not the one that
Yeah.
was scanned, but
Yeah.
he has some notes that are going to go into the file.
Okay, it's not.
But he added the sheet that I'm on right now, which is like an old black and white or sepia photo with the numbers 1 through 7 along Quarry Road. Mr. Sheldon added some distances along those points. And the numbers correspond to photos that he provided that show the house site, the old farm stand site, the driveway location, some clearing, some trees. The photos correspond with the numbers.
If we need to be,
Well, I think that we should do this all at once. I don't want to go through this and then have to go through it again on another night. Because we will have to basically review the whole thing anyway. I see a lot of numbers on the pages, but it's not clear where the numbers are, from boundary lines to boundary. I mean, and I'm sure you probably know exactly where they are.
no,
It's
no,
not-
no, there's another map that shows you that. There's two that actually tell you what it is, and then it actually shows you the measurements.
Yeah,
He hasn't shown it to you, but they're right here, and he has it also, but he's not, it's like that, but it's.
Oh, David,
We don't have-
is-
not everybody has this information relatively readily available. So, I mean, if,
I checked this morning and there was nothing on the site.
I didn't check my email at 5 o'clock before I came. So I didn't see it. So I think that if you want to request an extension, that would be wise. Okay. And we can extend this because, you don't have the wetlands yet. And not everybody can see this map.
Well, then I got a copy for everybody to look at, but you wanna do it all at once, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and I want to make sure
Yeah.
everybody has a chance to look at it rather than just, spending,
That's fine,
5 minutes looking at it tonight,
that's fine.
because this will, it'll be better for you.
Well,
if you have a chance.
plus you're gonna do the wetland at the same time, so you're gonna see the whole thing all at once, I understand. So that's fine, if you wanna extend it, then I'll have that done and everything will be done.
And do we have any, public, comments from citizens here? Citizen comment on this? I know we haven't presented anything.
Yeah, how you doing? Ray Morgan, I'm resident, Quarry Road. What I've seen and what Brian's done, my hat's off for him, it's the same thing I would be required to do. We had a driveway and Brian getting the stuff together, so thank you. So far, it's looking pretty good. Hopefully next, meeting we come back and see the rest of it. That's all we've been looking for. Just make sure you go to this way, we all have to do it. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Name?
So we had submitted a request to have Ojala removed from the application.
Yeah,
Brian
today.
said that he did that.
Okay. And that was my, yeah.
So yeah, Mr. Chair, if you look at the original application in the folder that you've got there, the application form itself was marked up in red by Mr. Sheldon, and where he removed references to Ojala Road and replaced them with different names.
Great.
So anyway, so in response, this was the Boyses had submitted an additional letter requesting the removal of references to Ojala Road from the application, which then, so Mr. Sheldon removed that from the original.
Thank you, by the way. Okay, so let's, at the request of the,
John, just a quick question. John, formally, do we need a written request from the applicant to extend the public hearing? I know we need a written.
That probably wouldn't hurt, but you're all witnesses. He's there. This meeting is being recorded. I think we have enough cover, but an email would be fine too.
Yeah, so if you could send an email to John requesting the extension. And so, I think that should probably go to maybe the first meeting in January as opposed to loading up the 18th because everybody's going to be busy. Do we have any?
The first meeting in January would be the 8th.
Yeah.
Excuse me, John, have you put your letter that you showed up here on the screen on the website? And if not, would you?
I don't believe that was just in my correspondence. Yeah, I can upload that, sure.
Okay. No.
So we need a motion to.
So we need a motion to extend the public hearing to January 8th, I believe it's the first. According to John.
I'll make the motion to accept the applicant's extension and extend the public hearing to January 8th.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Okay. And under new business, we have a budget to vote on. I just found out the other day that we were late voting on our budget. Yesterday, as a matter of fact. So, our budget last year was for $300 and we'd raised it $25 from the year before. So I propose that we, just keep the same budget and I guess if I should have this, imagine put a budget in for $300. I don't think that's that budget.
I make a motion to approve the budget request as same as last year, $300 for this upcoming year.
Sure. Second. Any discussion? None heard. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So move. Old business. First one is the application that is being extended. Do we have to vote on that or can we just bypass it?
No, you can bypass it.
And that brings us to our discussion on multifamily resident regulations.
Okay. I assume this is my cue, Mr. Chair.
Yes, it certainly is.
Okay. So at last month's meeting, or we had basically talked through some potential multifamily options, and we had bifurcated them into basically smaller scale multifamily, which again would be considered missing middle, basically 2, 3, 4 unit housing, from the larger multifamily, 5 and more. And the commission asked me to mark them up. So I have done so, and I'll just scroll through briefly the changes that I had proposed as, and I thought this was a reduced version, but this is the full reg. There we go. Okay. So the first change is, and I'll try to make this a little bit bigger, is in the definitions. This is on page 16 of the reg, where I add a definition for middle housing or middle housing dwelling. which is a structure used or designed as a home or residence for 2, 3, or 4 families living independently of each other, exclusive of accessory apartments as defined in these regs. So I just to create the category of middle housing, which is again 2, 3, 4 unit. And then redefined multifamily, which had previously been 2 or more to 5 or more. So to distinguish it, so we've got single family and accessory, middle housing, which is 2, 3, 4, and multifamily, which is 5 or more. And then I'll continue to find. Sorry.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Before we pass the definitions, just on, is there a way to identify how many different structures, physical structures are within these 2 definitions? Like
Yes, because the word, we use the word a structure, which means one.
Okay, so that means one building structure with 2, 3, or 4 dwelling units within that one structure.
That is correct.
Okay, then the next one, the multifamily, does that have a?
That says a building or multiple buildings on a single lot. So multifamily could have multiple buildings,
Okay,
which is the yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, and I apologize for the scrolling. I don't want people to maybe just close your eyes or don't look at the screen if you get dizzy. But a version I had done of this just excerpted the sections that I changed. Okay, so now we're in the community district, Article 3, Section B, community district, that lists the permitted uses.
John, what page?
So this is page 38.
Okay.
And so this is just permitted uses, where we basically add at the end, new M would be middle housing dwelling, which, so again, that would be an as of right. Administrative approval does not come to planning and zoning. Middle housing, again, being 2, 3, or 4 dwelling units. And also added in the Lake District, subsection F, basically tracking the single family or the community district, allowing middle housing dwelling. But we'll get into the specifics of what would be allowed. So the middle housing dwelling would be allowed as an administrative approval, an as of right use in both community district and Lake District. All right, and now we're on the table of dimensional standards, which is in Article 4, that's page 49, where we would just basically add middle housing dwellings with the same dimensional standards as single family. So again, that would be 2.5 acres, an acre contiguous buildable, 100 foot of frontage, 75-foot front yard, 20-foot side rear. So it basically tracks exactly the same way that single family residential is determined.
John, there's no change to the multifamily there?
That's correct. Not right now. That's something that we can, that's sort of a next step in this whole process. But multifamily, again, had previously just been 2 units. This is proposing it now goes up to 5. But the dimensional requirements for right now, all I'm looking at right now is middle housing. I didn't address the other part. So yeah, but you are correct. Okay, and so now we're on in Article 4, Section B, which are again dimensional requirements. I added middle housing as uses, and basically anywhere we refer to single family, I added middle housing to the references just to make clear that we're talking about the same thing. And then the standards is where we get into it. So this is subsection 2, again in Article 4. This is page 52 for people following along. So again, we added single family or added middle housing residential uses. And so the standards would be that no more than one single family dwelling, one middle housing dwelling of up to 4 units, or one single family dwelling with an accessory apartment shall be allowed on each lot. So that again, on residential lots, again, over 2.5 acres, you can have a house and accessory, or up to a 4 family. I did tweak in subsection 3. This is certainly open for discussion, but in a number of my communities, we've had this issue where a number of people are coming in for accessory apartments and finding 750 square feet to be a little bit restrictive. So I'm just proposing to loosen that up a little bit, just to give a little bit more flexibility. And again, that's up to debate. This is all just, initial proposal stuff. So I changed that in references to the accessory apartments from 750 to 850.
Question on that, John.
Yes, sir.
Under our accessory apartments, we did allow up to 1,000.
Okay. So then we would want to adjust that. So if we allow 1,000, so this should actually say 1,000 then. It should have been changed when that was changed.
I think
it was a state mandate that they had to be.
Yeah.
Okay, so this should be changed. Let me, can I do that? I can't make a note here. All right, I'll make sure to adjust that. Okay, and then we get, and this is on page, well, it's old page 53. I'm not sure what it, or it's new page 53. I'm not sure if we've slipped it, but now this is article, this is still section 2 standards. And I added a series of regulations. Okay, so I added a 2-family dwelling. And so I bifurcated a little to address smaller lots, essentially. So it would allow a 2-family dwelling, which is a single structure with 2 residential units, shall be permitted on all conforming or legally non-conforming residential properties with a minimum lot size of 1 acre, subject to all applicable building, fire, and public health codes. And then further delineated the detached accessory apartments shall be. I'm sorry.
I don't think you should say it. Okay,
I thought I heard something. Shall be subject to accessory apartment regulations. So again, that square footage limit. If it was attached in two residential units in the same building, there would be no square footage limit, other than lot coverage and setbacks. But that tracks with the single family reg. And then requiring an off-street parking space for each bedroom in the dwelling. Just, if you got 15 bedrooms, 15 parking spaces, 2 bedrooms, 2 parking spaces. And so that was to cover basically small lots to give a little bit more flexibility there, which is to say, lots of an acre. Lots under an acre would not be eligible. So that would cover, probably the majority of lots in all of the lake districts, which tend to be very small lots. So those, for the most part, would be ineligible unless they had more than an acre. Middle housing, again, 2, 3, 4, shall be allowed on lots with the minimum of 2.5 acres of land and the 1 acre of contiguous buildable, again, subject to all building, fire, and public health codes and the same parking requirements. I have removed, we had initially talked about proposing, some architectural standards where you wouldn't have multiple front doors facing the street or multiple entrances facing the street. I removed that for now. We can bring it back, but Amy also shared some great pictures that I'll share in a little bit that kind of show, architectural examples of different middle housing examples that really, the front door doesn't really create a disruption, I think. So I removed it for now, but we can talk about it. And then the next would be the larger house conversion, which residential structures existing at the effective date of the reg with greater than 4,000 square feet, regardless of lot size, can be converted into middle housing subject to all applicable building, fire, and public health codes. So this would, and again, with the off-street parking requirement. And so what this would do is if you had a small lot, and I'm thinking, in South Woodstock, in the North Woodstock crossroads, there are a couple of real big houses up on the road there that probably don't have an acre, or maybe, certainly less than 2.5 acres, and have enough square footage to be converted, without expanding the footprint of the building to multiple units. And so what this would do is you basically have a big old house. You could convert that more easily to multiple units. Again, with building, fire, public health code and sufficient off-street parking. I think, and I'm going to back up, but we'll talk about this more, but I just want to make sure I'm getting all the other, I think those are the other, unless I added something, there's probably in the Lake District also. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so this is Lake District. Requirements. So all residential lots that are conforming. Oh, wait a second. All lots except for 2.5 acres. Maybe I didn't make this change. I think I had intended to make this change. All residential lots that are conforming or legally non-conforming may have, an accessory apartment or middle housing dwelling. Yeah, subject to, okay, Article 4, Section B2. So that this basically tracks the reg that we just went through, which is, again, requires an acre of land for a 2-unit, basically, and 2.5 acres for up to 4 units. So I didn't restate the whole thing, but I just make reference to the reg that we just talked about, just making sure that people understood in the Lake District that same thing is possible, again, with those acreage minimum. Does that make sense?
I was surprised, John, on the.
Okay. I think that basically is the changes that were made or proposed. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Joe.
Okay, on page 53, where most of the draft is for the language, I was just surprised the 2-family dwelling on a 1-acre lot. That significantly different than anything we have now, and looks like a big step in the change of the regulations. I think the other ones, the 2 sections are okay. Although even 4,000 square feet in the existing structure is a pretty big building, but that's okay to do it now, I guess, and we can always change it at some point. But I was a little concerned about the first one, with only on 1 acre, where most of our single-family regulations, single-family houses are 2.5 acres, 1 acre buildable. So I was surprised to see this.
And again, I think this was intended to, well, yeah, allow a little bit more development flexibility, recognizing again that the on most lots of an acre or more, there is sufficient space and capacity, and particularly the second units tend to be relatively small and don't generate a great deal of additional septic flow. But yeah, that's, this is a proposal. It is a change.
We're ready to talk about it. I would be surprised if people who wanted to put a single family home didn't come in and say, well, I got an acre. Why can't I put a single family home when you allow a 2-family home on a 1 acre lot? So I'd be hesitant at this point to have this kind of language.
Yeah.
Unless there's a good argument otherwise. I mean, that's my feeling.
So, well, hold on, Joe. If people have an acre and there's nothing on it, they can build a house.
If it's already an approved building lot.
Oh, if it's already an approved building lot.
No. It would need to be an approved building lot in order for them to build on it. But that's the same as everybody. You could have 5 acres that are entirely unbuildable. It just, the acreage doesn't make you buildable. It's the ability to dispose of wastewater onto it.
But we have a minimum lot size of 2.5 acres. You're saying 1 acre.
Yeah, but that is a legally non-conforming lot, because basically anything that's not 2.5 acres is non-conforming, and that's what I'm referring to. So if you've got, I'm not saying you can create a new 1 acre lot and put 2 houses on it. That is not the case. But if you have a lot that was created prior to the current 2.5 acre minimum, that's a legally existing non-conforming lot. and you can build on it, assuming you can figure out your septic and your setbacks and stuff.
Well, then I think that should be worded that way in the ordinance.
Well,
Okay,
it says legally non-conforming.
it also says on all conforming or legally non-conforming.
Right, right. So okay, what am I missing there?
Conforming would just mean it's 2.5. And then non-conforming is anything under.
And yeah, and legally non-conforming means that it existed, it was created before the current zoning regulation,
Right, right.
which is, you know, a lot of properties in town, because, you know, we only went for 2.5, you know, in the early 2000s, I think.
Just
It was
the way,
it was a smaller lot, so it was 1.25 acres for a while.
the way it looks, the way I read it, it was like, you could have so you can't make a lot that's 1 acre, a new lot that's 1 acre and put a house on.
No, you cannot. Unless,
it
well,
doesn't-
you can, I mean, you can using the conservation subdivision regulations, but that's a different situation.
Right.
But you
Yeah,
can't just
perhaps-
carve off, you can't do a free split of 1 acre and put a duplex on it. That is not allowed.
Okay.
Perhaps in parentheses, you know, expand upon
What's
a
the
legally non-conforming lot.
Well, it's already defined in the regs, so.
Yeah, I know, but it might clarify the 1 acre concern.
Yeah,
Could somebody do a subdivision then and do open space and have 1 acre lots and put duplexes on it?
I would say yes, but based on this, yes. In the creation of that subdivision, you know, the reason, you know, just to go back in history, the reason that the subdivision regulations allow smaller lot sizes is in exchange for larger chunks of open space, right? And so it's clustered. So those would be legally created open space subdivision lots of 1 acre or more, and those would be created in a legally conforming way. So yes, if those lots were larger than 1 acre and they were either legally conforming or pre-existing legally non-conforming, this regulation would allow the 2 dwelling units.
okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. Can you hear? Yes, go ahead, Doug.
John, when I was reviewing the regulations, the way they're written right now, to have a smaller lot in a subdivision, it's under a cluster subdivision, and you haven't added the language to that allows a middle housing to be in that kind of subdivision.
Okay, I can clarify that. I would classify those lots that were created legally via the subdivision process as conforming.
I think you may have to, and I'm not saying
Yeah.
you shouldn't.
Yeah, no, I can.
Just
That's
saying
an
right
important
now-
clarification. Yeah.
The way I read it right now, the multi-housing isn't allowed in those cluster subdivisions.
It's by.
'Cause
Well, I'm
it-
sorry,
it
you're referring
says-
to a separate regulation that doesn't allow multifamily in a new
Yeah,
subdivision?
the regulations right now just refer to single-family homes. You didn't add that new language to allow it, because it does specify it right in there that it
Okay.
only applies to single-family.
And that would have to be in the subdivision regulation
Well,
section
it actually is in
No.
zoning regulations too,
and the zoning, right?
under cluster subdivisions.
Okay, yeah, so that's an important clarification.
Yeah, it's something for a discussion to have, that's all.
Okay. Good call,
Tom.
thanks, Doug.
So on this page, the first item you have there is a 2-family dwelling. And then the middle section is the middle housing. But when you went over the definitions earlier, you have dwelling middle housing, but we don't have a definition for a 2-family dwelling unit. Do you need a definition for a 2-family dwelling unit? Because now you're calling it out as something separate from a middle housing dwelling.
Well, I mean, we could certainly, that's why I put this parenthetical, 2 residential units within 1 structure to define it internally, but if we wanted to add a separate 2-family definition, that's certainly fine. I just wanted to limit it that if you had less than 2.5 acres, if you had between 1 and 2.5 acres, you still had some eligibility for additional development, but it was really only one additional dwelling. But we could certainly add it.
So do I understand this correctly, that you can now, under this proposed regulation, you can have a subdivision consisting of two-family dwellings on an acre lot? So you could have unlimited numbers of acre lots with two-family dwellings on them in the subdivision?
If you had unlimited land,
But we're talking about 1 acre.
yeah, but I mean, when you say unlimited, unlimited is a lot. But if what your question is would the subdivision, if you created a series of, all right, let me back up. Let's say you've got 100 acres, right?
Yeah.
And you want to subdivide. And let's assume it's all flat, it's all clear, everything's super, there's no wetlands.
Yep.
And let's even assume that it's all frontage. So you're not even building a road that's going to take away land, right? All right. So you've got 100 acres. You apply the subdivision regulations would have you apply the density factor of 2.5. So that gives you 40 possible lots. And if you take it, you can either do those 40 lots each on 2.5 acres and get, and have the development that is available to 2.5 acre lots, which if this proposal was accepted, you could then theoretically have 44 families on 100 acres. So that's, 160 family units, dwelling units on 100 acres. You could alternatively, with a cluster design, make each of these lots an acre. You'd still only get 40 because that's the density factor. That's the subdivision regulations. And those 1 acre lots would then, and again, you'd have, 40 1 acre lots, and you'd set aside 60 acres for open space of some type. And those 41 acre lots would each be eligible for a single family with an accessory apartment, or a 2-family. So in that case, you would have 41 acre lots, 60 acres of open space, and 80 dwelling units on 100 acres.
What do people think about that?
What's that? Well, that's why you have a public hearing.
Right, good. Which is not this.
I mean, we're just discussing it, so.
Right.
This is just an idea. This is just an idea. I mean, it looks more official than it is because I put it as a markup. That's what you asked me to do, so it makes more sense. But yeah, this is just a concept.
Says you were.
So, I wasn't on the commission at the time, but, Eisenhower Estates was a subdivision on 197 west of 198. And a lot of those duplexes were built at that time. This conservation development option was not in place, so I'm not sure what size those lots are. There was also a separate road built on the north side of 197.
Yeah, Herondine Landing.
Oh, something there. But if you want a visual of what a series of duplexes look like, it's probably all been by there. It might help take a closer look.
Yeah, I think there's 3 or 4 in a row up there.
Yeah.
They don't really look any different than a regular house.
If you give me a moment, I'll bring up the street view of Herondine Landing, but you can keep talking.
Across the street from Heritage.
It's across the street from here.
Right. Yeah, no, the ones on 190, fronting on 197 on the south side of the road. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I believe that's the old Eisenhower farm.
Yeah.
Okay, just to orient us, here's 197 going southeast to northwest, 198. Maybe I passed them already. These what we're talking about?
No, they're farther north or west.
Farther west. Okay.
Over the hill.
yeah.
Pastille Farms.
There we go. There's one.
Yeah. One of the duplexes.
There's a couple more down there.
It's all leafed out. So you can sort of you can see this one here. And there's a mirroring garage on the other side of this one.
So if the scenarios that John just described start to solidify or something want to go in that direction of, I think we start to address this affordable housing issue that we're trying to tackle here as well. I guess the trade-off is appearance or just density of houses and separation of wells from septic systems from stormwater.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think it would be a good, healthy discussion to have at some point.
And I think the scenario you asked about, 100 acres that John just went through with
Yeah.
80
Yep.
dwelling units. It's not, I don't know how likely that is on a perfectly flat land divided like that, but it does give a scenario of a lot of sudden housing in an area. And just for scale, I was trying to look at what's the largest current dwelling unit area in Woodstock Meadows, which really hard to see unless you really drive up there to look around. That has 56 units. And Cornfield Point, the next one, has 37 units.
How many acres is Woodstock Meadows?
Which one? Meadows is 21 acres. And
So it's between 2 and 3 units an acre net.
and Cornfield Point is 12 and a half acres.
So I put on the screen just in order to illustrate a little bit more of where we were looking up at Eisenhower. Amy had scrounged up a couple of images of more contemporary looking 2-family duplexes. These have, again, sort of double garage, double front door, more townhouse style. But there's, lots of ways to develop what we would call middle housing, different architectural styles.
Would you consider those condos on Fawn Ridge? If they're not called condos, but they be examples of middle housing?
Fawn
Seems like
Ridge, is that up on Doug Hill?
it's on Doug Hill, the two
Yeah.
buildings.
Yeah.
That's more or less this sort of thing. They're sort of garden style apartment. I don't know if they're condos, if they're apartments or whatever, but yeah, there's probably 3 or 4 of these styles. So there's probably, 8, 12, 16 units in over 4 buildings, something
8
like that.
units. There's 4 in each one. That
So
could be
4 and
wrong.
4. Yeah. So that would be,
I all the time at acreage.
twice as big as this regulation would allow. But yeah.
Yeah.
And no garages.
No
is that right?
No garages.
Yeah. No.
And is the idea, John, to put garages next to each other to create like a sound barrier between the 2 units?
My proposed regulation did not anticipate that. It wanted to provide, design flexibility. If, the market dictated garages and people wanted a little bit of noise separation, that makes some sense. If, you wanted to maximize your livable area and not build garages, then that's a different market.
I was just curious about the design. I'm not suggesting that we regulate one way or the other.
Yeah, I'm not a housing development expert
Because you're
that way.
building, you want your kitchens back to back, you know what I mean? So that your plumbing is in similar walls, so it makes sense that your garages will be back to back too, just as an economical. I'm not a builder, but that's what I think when I say that. It's a reason, try to save money building stuff in one cost.
If only we had a lifelong builder on the commission that could give us some insight.
Not taking the bait.
Yeah.
Hey,
I'm waiting on it.
I'm sorry, could we just shift gears for a minute? Not that I want to leave this discussion, but just backing up a bit. When our commission worked through accessory dwelling units, we've talked about size, but also the acreage of the parcel land. I think initially we required a 1 acre minimum lot size for an ADU to be an option. Did the state then change some laws that kind of wiped out that minimum lot size, requiring us to abandon it too? That all something?
Not at the well, so and I wasn't working with Woodstock when that became law. That was Public Act 17-1. I'm sorry, no, it was Public Act 21-29. So that was 4 years ago. The state allowed an opt-out. It gave towns a year and a half to come up with regulations or to basically accept the state standards. It required an opt-out. I don't recall if Woodstock opted out or just accepted the state standards. But that regulation, that's the state, the sort of state framework, would have allowed any residentially zoned lot that allows a single family to also have a single family with an accessory apartment. So that would, and that would include, as we discussed, legally existing non-conforming lots, which is basically most of your lake communities. If you've got, a third of an acre on one of Bungie or Witches Woods, you can build a house there, and the state statute would say, if you can build a house there, you can build a house and an accessory apartment, regardless of lot size, if it's zoned and allowed to be residential. A lot of towns opted out and put some other thresholds on it. I do believe you guys do have a 1 acre minimum for that, so that excludes a lot of the small lake community lots. And this, the proposed regulation that I'm suggesting here would, again, allow for that second unit to be built on an acre. But it would allow it to be either an accessory apartment or a unit as part of a duplex. So again, just
John, I know you're working with the POCD, and part of their charge is to look at, plans for housing in the long-term view.
Mhm.
Is some of this language already shared with them or discussed with the POCD group? And
I see Amy nodding. I don't know if we've had that. I don't think I've had that discussion with them. I know that the is it Wendy who is working with the senior group?
Wendy,
They had done a lot of survey and community outreach among the senior community about their housing wishes, and so I think this is reflective of that broadly. But we frankly haven't gotten to the housing section of our this iteration. So I suspect we will soon, but we haven't had that specific discussion yet.
Okay, thanks.
So John, one of the reasons that Woodstock Meadows works is the way it's set into the land, the low profile, and the actual architecture. Where in this process would you be able to write regulations regarding that, and how much control will we have over how these 1 acre buildings will be built? How tall could it be? How
you have,
et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, you have an incredible amount of control. And so this would be the sort of the next phase, because I didn't want to hit you guys with too much all at once, but we had talked a couple of months ago about sort of bifurcating that, sort of the easy as of right, smaller scale stuff. And right now we're not incorporating a lot of design control because this is trying to largely mirror your broad kind of laissez-faire approach to single family residences, right? You have no design control. Someone could build a big glass house. Someone could build, a lighthouse and live in that. Someone could, have a traditional farmhouse. Like you don't have design control, which is to say you have not imposed design control. You don't really have square footage limits on single family residences. For a while, you didn't have height limits on single family residences. I think you did impose a 35-foot a while ago.
Yes.
But for a while, when I was your town planner back in 2004, there was no height limit on single family residences. Anyway, but so this first set of regulations, basically duplexes and middle housing, is meant to track essentially your approach to single family residences with some square footage issues or acreage issues. The larger scale stuff, your Essex, your Woodstock Meadows, your Cornfield Point, whatever, are larger scale developments. So this is more than 5 units, and this is when we would want to get into some more of those design controls. And we had talked initially about the reason that I think Essex, I'm sorry, I keep saying Essex because there's an Essex Meadows also. Woodstock Meadows works is because it's surrounded by 150 or 200 feet on all sides of basically woods, and for the most part, and even the driveway is kind of curved, so even driving past, you can't really see the interior of it. You could absolutely put in place those buffer distances and that height limitation. So it's largely, the rooftops are largely below the trees in the buffer area. Minimum acreages for developing something like this. But to answer your question finally more concisely, the answer is yes. You have a lot of design control of all of those elements: density, height, buffers, all of that stuff. And we'll get to that if you guys would like me to continue on this sort of concept proposal.
Thank you.
Do you have any more input here?
I was just gonna say, Woodstock Meadows has that advantage of being on like the backside of that small hill along the road, which hides it, I think, wonderfully, and makes it kind of, and I think it goes both ways. The residents have the benefit of that buffer to the road, so they're not seeing or hearing the traffic as much. But I think that kind of hill or berm is going to be hard to replicate.
It's hard to replicate the land to put that many units in one spot too. I mean, they're at over Old River Bottom, so it's very cool. Do we have any more input on this small, like 4-unit housing plans that John has proposed?
And I would just note again, as Sid, I think, alluded to, this is just a concept, and should, by some dramatic turn of events, both the commission and the public be okay with proceeding along these lines. This is not, etched in granite and framed on the town hall lawn. This is a regulation that can be changed. And if you find that, the first 2, 3, 4 developments along these lines are not what you had hoped they would be, then this can be adjusted or tweaked or even revoked. But, things don't happen fast in Northeast Connecticut. It's been pretty slow housing growth. And so, I wouldn't worry about the town's complexion changing, over the course of a few weeks. So it's.
I think they're great ideas. I mean, you brought a bunch of good ideas for us to think about. Seems to be very well thought out, and everybody had a lot of good questions. So, do we want to think on this for a little bit and continue this another time? Yeah.
I can add some of those clarifications if we want to add a 2-family definition, and as well as making sure that we have the references right to houses developed during the cluster subdivision process. That's certainly doable. My other question is, at this point, would you like me to push forward and start suggesting some of the tweaks to the current multifamily reg, which again I'll telegraph it, reduce the minimum lot size from 10 acres to something somewhat smaller, and remove some of the density caps, and really, because as we said, with Woodstock Meadows, that's 2 or 3 times higher than your current density would allow. And everyone seems to be perfectly fine with it. And so I would propose that, again, the design and function is much more important than an arbitrary density number. But anyway, I'm telegraphing where I'm headed with it. It's just a question of if you want me to proceed with drafting something.
I maybe like to think more about continuing on this
Sure.
middle housing concept to wrap it all out for the other aspects of it before going into multifamily housing?
Sure.
Do the mid housing, what are the next steps in that, this performance standards and all the other parts of the regulations that would have to be updated? That's my feeling, but, and maybe see how this works if it becomes a regulation instead of trying to make too big changes right now. You know, but anyway, that's my feeling. To just follow through this, and over the series of months that we have to go through the public hearing on this middle housing.
Maybe go
concept.
through all this with the middle housing and then
Get that.
come back and do the larger. Scale.
Right. And see if there are a lot of people clamoring to do middle housing construction development.
Great. I appreciate everyone's questions and inputs. I thought that was great.
Okay, so that brings us up to the POCD update.
So I did not distribute this. I can put it up online for the commission's review. We were going to our next topic was going to be reviewing the preserve section. So just as a reminder, we'd sort of established a vision statement in the draft POCD that was sort of three themes: preserve, develop, and enjoy. Am I getting that right, Amy? Yeah. So and you know, under the broad umbrella of preserve, which is, I think, really the meat of this, would include open space, conservation, you know, environmental preservation, historic preservation. And so I'm in the midst, I've written about half of that section and shared it with the POCD committee, which unfortunately we didn't get the agenda posted. And so we didn't convene, but everyone has a copy of the draft in progress and is going to be providing comments. I'd be happy to provide the draft in progress to this commission as well. But we'll be reconvening hopefully with a completed preserve section in January.
Okay. Yeah, if you want to, I think we'd appreciate seeing it.
Okay. I'll would you like me to email it directly or just put it up on the website?
Hello.
It's about well,
I think everybody wants to
4
email.
meg. Okay. Will do.
That brings us to home occupations and I don't know.
No applications.
Okay. Any more citizen contents? Any citizen comments? Yes, Jean.
I just wanted to state that the scenic road penalty ordinance that I drafted was based on Jeff Gordon's work that he's done when he did zoning ordinance penalties, and I have sent that to John and to Tamara too. If you guys want to consider having penalties for violations of our zoning ordinances, there's a town meeting coming up in January or something. I don't know the date, but it's already drafted. Jeff did a really excellent job on it. John has a copy of it, and it's something you might want to consider pushing forward.
Is that on a website or is it?
Sorry?
Is it available? I mean, is it readily available? Is it on?
Yeah, I can email it out.
Okay.
It was he drafted it, I believe, in 2010. And at the time, the Board of Selectmen was not in favor of putting it forward to a town meeting, but it's a different time. And it's already written. You might want to look it over and decide whether this is something you want to pursue.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Any board members?
Yeah, okay, just a question, and I don't know if it goes to John or mostly to John. We used to get from the Connecticut Bar Association a quarterly newsletter on zoning cases throughout the state, and I think we had to pay a membership fee to do part of that. You're probably familiar with it, John.
Yeah, it's not the Connecticut Bar Association. That is I'm going to use the word organization called the Connecticut Federation of Planning and Zoning Agencies. that is not actually an organization. It is one guy. It's attorney Steve Byrne.
Yes.
Who has a fake organization. He and his wife are the only members. And does this as a marketing thing. And no town that I work in continues to subscribe to it, because he's, in my opinion, gotten a little bit political with his presentation of case law. It functions essentially as a marketing tool for his legal business. But if this commission would like to spend some of its allocated budget on subscribing to that newsletter, it's absolutely your decision.
I would recommend it, and I can bring some past copies in for commissioners to look at, just to get a sense of what different case laws are around
Do
the
it for
state
a
of
year and see
Connecticut.
if we want to continue.
My advice would be to actually, well, I mean, you do what you want. It's your commission's money. I would actually make a formal request of our town attorney, Rich Roberts, and his firm, Haller and Sage, which is a far more robust and expert law firm, in my opinion, to provide some case law updates to this commission on a regular basis. But again, yeah, there is a guy selling newsletters.
Okay, I'll find out how much it costs and bring in some
we can
copies.
discuss it. I don't have any communications. That brings us to 11.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Say no.